Welcome back for the continuation of this Good Trouble series, where we're going to take a look at a second set of logical fallacies to avoid when you're making your positions in the discussions and essays within this course or in interactions with others. Now, the next logical fallacy is an ad hominem attack. An ad hominem attack is basically when you're attacking somebody personally rather than using logic or refuting their argument. And so we saw an example of that in the Monty Python skit that was presented in the first day of class. But an example of this within the headlines from 2020, Media Matters from America. Alex Jones claims frontline coronavirus healthcare workers are killing patients for eugenics. And so, let's not talk about, COVID-19 as a medical emergency. Let's not talk about the pandemic. Let's focus in on if you go to the hospital, the healthcare workers may kill you in an effort of doing eugenics. And so I'm not sure what they would be doing in that essence, but basically changing it from an argument about the substance of the topic to an argument about the individuals involved. The next logical fallacy to avoid is the use of false facts. The use of false facts is the use of false or incorrect information in order to weaken a fact or position. And so again, in 2020, a headline in the New York Post, Roger Stone coming out and saying Bill Gates may have created the coronavirus in order to microchip people. And this is, still a concern that you hear with individuals, that they're not going to become vaccinated because they don't want microchips injected within their body. Completely random statement that was made, no basis in fact. Basically, it's really too small to be able to really do the transfer of a microchip with the technology that's available now. But that point was made, and that point continues to be used as an argument against the vaccination process. Now, in the slippery slope argument, you're basically taking the current situation and you're going to extend that into an illogical future extreme. It's like, okay, yeah, it's okay to do that now in this situation, but look at what it's going to become. Look at what's going to happen when it gets to the end point for that. And so in this case, in a 2021 headline from The Guardian, this actually may be a commentary, but child labor and toxic leaks, that's the price we could pay for a green future. So yeah, we want to minimize pollution. We want to minimize the contributions to greenhouse gases. Okay, that's fine. Maybe good kind of in the long run, but you're also going to have to deal with child labor. You're going to have to deal with toxic leaks. So we're going to replace one bad thing with something else if we follow this green trajectory that we're talking about here. And so again, taking it to an illogical future extreme. In the appeal to ignorance argument, again, an example of a logical fallacy, what we're doing is not focusing on the evidence that's available, but focusing on the lack of evidence, focusing on what is not known in order to avoid supporting an issue. And so this is former Governor Mike Huckabee in a NBC News interview in 2016 when he was a presidential candidate, basically said, the science is not settled on climate change. So there's a lot of evidence of climate change. There's a lot of, indications that, global warming, greenhouse gases are having an effect on the climate. But scientists can't say conclusively what is that exact effect and what is the exact outcome of the presence of carbon dioxide within the environment. And so if we can't come down to it very, very specifically, very, very exactly, well, let's wait until we have better evidence. Let's wait to do something until it is conclusive, 100% guaranteed that what we're doing there. And that's the appeal to ignorance. In the correlation causation fallacy, we're taking a look at a different way of looking at the data. And so a causation statement is if something causes something else. And so if I'm attempting to grow plants in my office, if I water them and provide them with fertilizer, then the addition of water and fertilizer is going to cause my plants to grow. That's a cause and effect. Adding fertilizer to my plants is going to cause my plants to grow. In a correlation causation fallacy, you're going to be looking at two things that appear to change in relationship to one another, but does not necessarily mean that one thing caused another. And so this is a 2022 article that came out in Make It. It's an NBC kind of sub website within the NBC News family. But the headline is, Can one-star Amazon reviews for Yankee candles actually predict the next COVID surge? We're looking at, reviews, we're looking at Yankee candles. What does that have to do with the COVID surge? So maybe, we're looking at COVID-19. It affects the ability of people to smell and to taste. And so if we've got people that are buying these scented candles, they're no longer able to smell those candles. Maybe that indicates that they've got COVID-19, and putting in a review saying, yeah, these candles are nice, but, you can't really smell them, may be an indicator that COVID-19 is there, but that necessarily is not a cause and effect. We are not looking at a direct relationship between Yankee candle production and the next COVID surge. So in the begging the question fallacy, you're basically making a circular argument. And in this circular argument, the premise or the facts or the evidence that you're using to make your statement have to be true if the conclusion is true. And so you're making a statement assuming the truth of the premise, but the premise is actually based on the outcome of the conclusion. So in this case, in an article or a news headline from Tucker Carlson, Tucker Carlson says the existence of winter disproves the science of climate change. And so basically, if we have cold weather, therefore we cannot have global warming, because if it gets cold in the winter, the climate must not be warming. And that kind of misses the point that the concepts associated with climate change are seeing more extreme weather. And so colder winters, hotter summers, more severe hurricanes, more severe blizzards in the winter are all effects of climate change. And so just the presence of cold weather is not enough to offset the effects of climate change that we're talking about. Okay, so that's going to finish up our logical fallacies. In the next video in this series, we're going to take a look at what is involved with making a good, strong, analytical essay. So I encourage you to come back for that. As always, please see the description below for additional information and references.